Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Dorney Park recreation. Last time we did builds for Wild Mouse and Whitewater Landing, making some good progress over here on this side of the park. Today I want to continue the strategy we've been doing where we have our central Planet Snoopy area and we're kind of branching outwards from it. And I think I want to start heading towards the back of the park today, making some steps towards where there are some more interesting things where all the coasters are. They're all around the outside of the park, so we're going to get to them a little bit later, I guess. But as we have all of these flat rides here in this area that are going to need to be laid out, similar to Planet Snoopy, I want to get some more complex stuff here laid down, prep some track for shoestringing later, get some path in here, maybe some more building placeholders if there are any. Because I think after we get this area done, we can start thinking about maybe putting in Hydra, because everything around Hydra will be done. And that will be exciting to get a big coaster in here. So maybe that will be in next episode. But yeah, like I said, for today, just going to start working on these little flat rides over here and building up this area. So let's get started. All right, here is our first flat ride of the day, Musik Express, our first official shoestring as well. This is the exact same ride as Super Himalaya in Cedar Point. So the design of the ride is exactly the same, the way the track is laid out, and our underground shoestring track as well here. Not a whole lot different compared to my Cedar Point design. I did do a little bit of different stuff with the decorations on top as well. Just because, I don't know, just trying out some different stuff, seeing what sticks. Top of it looks very boring and very flat, which is what happens when you try to do stuff that's realistic, because the top of the ride, you can't see it in the park anyway, so why would they decorate it? So it looks a little bit boring, but whatever. So yeah, now that that's out of the way, I guess we're just going to keep going down, building some more path, putting in some more flat rides, things like that. I'm running into my first problem with the terrain that I've built so far. There's supposed to be a building here that's got some carnival, like midway games in it, right next to the Enterprise, but I put it in a space where I have an elevation change, and it looks pretty awkward now. Hopefully it'll look a little bit nicer once I actually fill this in with some decorations, and I can figure out how to make the elevation look less choppy. But I'm not going about that right now. I don't really feel like making any buildings. Let's just keep continuing on putting in our flat rides and see where today takes us. right, this thing is an absolute nightmare. So here we have Apollo, which is another flat ride. It's some sort of swing in a circle thing. I didn't actually see it when I was at the park. I think we walked past it, but didn't really give it a good look. It's got a really bizarre support structure too, which is almost impossible to replicate in RCT without custom objects probably, and with a 4x4, because man, I would really love to have one of the little abstract sculptures on top, because there's this little ball thing on top of it, but you can't have it be centered because it's a 4x4. There's no center tile to put this on. So this thing looks horrifying and awful, and I don't like it at all, but I think that might be the best I can do for now. Just gonna throw some more little round things in here. I don't know, it's not pleasant. It looks like a weird robot thing. I guess the real thing kind of looks like a weird little robot too, so it's a little fitting, maybe? I don't know. I don't like it, but we're gonna move on. I gotta build more rides, so let's keep going down the midway here and just keep building some stuff. It is nice to get some more shoestrings in here, some more stuff for peeps to do, and we're making progress. A couple more here in this area I want to get done today, so can't stop now. All right, another little section laid out here. We've got the swinging ship Sea Dragon. I decided to go for a vanilla swinging ship this time around instead of shoestringing something. I feel like the scale of Sea Dragon is pretty small, and it made sense to kind of fit it in this way and just fill in the area around it with some vegetation, and I think it gives the area a nice little sense of scale. I feel like shoestringing or hacking a larger ride would take up too much space and it might look a little bit awkward. We don't want it to stand out too much compared to all the other rides over here. We've already got Musik Express looking probably a little bit too big. Still some blank area in here. I think this green space has a basketball game in it that we could add, and then of course the arcade I still haven't done yet. I'll leave those for later. Still want to continue moving outwards and build some more rides, so not much else to say, so let's keep going. All right, here is our whip. And not a bad looking whip if I do say so myself. This is one we can accomplish without shoestringing, which is a pretty handy. It's just a ride in powered launch mode that goes on several laps. One unfortunate thing about this that you might have noticed in the time lapse is that we're using the Virginia Reel tubs for our ride vehicles. I really wanted to use the Haunted Mansion cars instead, because I feel like they look a lot more like actual whip ride vehicles. Unfortunately, there is an issue with that, as Haunted Mansion cars have the quote-unquote feature that they will explode if they go too fast. So unfortunately, they kept blowing up when I tried to test the ride. So that's not going to work. So we're going with Virginia Reel tubs, which is unfortunate because they spin more than they should, which looks a little silly. But I guess there's a roof on it, so you can't tell a whole lot. For the most part, it looks, relatively correct, I guess. So yeah, pretty happy with this whip. Things are starting to come together over here. Still have a couple more flat rides to do, and they should be relatively straightforward, especially the one right next door to the whip, which is Dominator, the launch tower. So why don't we go ahead and throw down those real quick. All right, I just came back from a little break and had a realization that you can make it work with the Haunted Mansion ghost trains on the whip. The way it works is the vehicles will only crash if the front is going too fast. Doesn't matter how fast the cars behind it are going. That doesn't determine what makes it crash. So if you use a sports car for the front vehicle, the invisible variant of that can go as fast as it wants, make the trains behind them Haunted Mansion cars, then it works perfectly. They're a little bit glitchy, and there's an issue with the spacing that's really minor. You probably won't even notice it if you're not looking too closely. But I think all that is definitely worth having them look more like actual whip cars. So pretty cool. Happy with the way this whip turned out. And I think we're done with that. So as I said earlier, time to finish up the rest of the flat rides we have going on over here. And I want to move on to Dominator, the drop tower, which is nestled over here. So should be pretty simple, should be pretty straightforward. What's nice about the drop tower here at Dorney is that it is the 3 spike variant. You've got 2 actual rides and then 1 support column, as opposed to Power Tower, which has 4 total, which makes it decorating in RCT a lot easier, as you'll see here momentarily. All right, here is our Dominator. Pretty standard free fall. Just have 2 rides here and then 1 dummy ride for the triangular support structure. And then a little topper decoration here. A little bit more complex than the real thing, just to give it a little bit more visual appeal. Might be a little overboard, but whatever. It looks kind of neat. So one more ride in this area that we have penciled in and that I want to build today, and that's the Tilt-a-Whirl. So that's another standard spinny shoestring ride, so it should also be hopefully pretty straightforward. So let's knock that one out here before we wrap it up for today. Alrighty, here's our bizarre Tilt-a-Whirl design. The real thing does look pretty weird too. The structure in the middle doesn't really make a whole lot of sense and is very hard to translate to RCT, but all that matters is we got a spinny thing with some spinning cars, lots of spinning. Everybody loves spinning. Alright, so that I think is going to do it for today's episode. Lots accomplished today. All these little flat rides in. Everything fit pretty nicely into the spaces that I laid out earlier for them, which is really nice. Still, obviously, like I said, a lot of buildings to put down here, but there should be plenty of room for that. And there's still some more decorations to add, a lot more foliage that I could put in here, some more fences and little decorations and things. But like I said, we want to get the main bits in here, make sure that all the rides can be functional, and it looks like we're doing pretty well on that front. So yeah, things are really coming along. If you zoom out here, the park is looking lively here, at least in the middle. Still a lot of blank spots. I guess I should probably fill in these remaining Planet Snoopy rides and all that stuff at some point. We will get to that eventually. But that is going to do it for me for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.